It appears that Gauguin made the right decision to leave Paris for Tahiti. Other than a short period when he might have taken a job of some kind, he was able to make a living as a painter. He lived among the wealthy, had a large studio, and maintained a horse and carriage, so he could easily travel to Tahiti to be part of the social scene. He even got his own monthly publication, and later became the salaried editor of a local newspaper, specializing in attacking the colonial government. For a while he didn't paint. When he restarted, he produced a series of nude. Whatever was going on in his mind, these paintings looked to me like paradise, without any noticeable perversion. In fact, I think normal life in Tahiti made his painting style more mature and more complex. Also, as he was making his living out of selling paintings to the local people, he did not have to worry about the Paris crowd. This one was sold in 2014 for $210 million. No kidding. This is Gauguin's most comprehensive illustration of his dreamy paradise, his contemplation of life and death. From baby to old age. Look at the way Gauguin used color. Although the color theory was same as we discussed in episode 10, season 1, Gauguin definitely used it for a different expressive purpose. He called his way of using color a mysterious language, a language of the dream. Part of Gauguin's financial problem was his overspending, but as Vollard sold this one for 2,500 francs, he avoided any bank foreclosure and lived comfortably, including moving to the more secluded Marquesas Islands because he found Tahiti too developed. Unbeknownst to him, that move had a disastrous effect on his life. Gauguin had a health problem. We are not sure exactly what happened. His complaints were about his ankle, which was fractured in a bar brawl in France and never properly healed, and eczema, which is a type of skin inflammation. We also know that he had an arsenic poisoning problem. In those days, arsenic was used as either antibiotics or stimulant. There was no reason for Gauguin to use arsenic as stimulant. So the only probable answer is that he had an infection that was getting out of control. So the doctor was left with no better choice than arsenic. The most probable culprit was syphilis. In Tahiti, there were trained physicians. In Marquesas, there were none. Too sick to paint, Gauguin started writing. Since his writing was quickly auctioned off after his death and has never appeared again, we're not sure what he wrote. Gauguin died suddenly. Many believe it was an opium overdose, as he tried to reduce pain without medical supervision. In the last episode, we talked about how strenuous and treacherous the journey of art is. For Gauguin, things got better in the end. His paintings were out of the mode of demonstrating sexual appeals of the primitive underage girls, and began to pick up sophistication and maturity. It was in Tahiti his earlier experiences as a successful stockbroker and naval sailor, combined with his artistic effort. The combination allowed him to think beyond other artists at the time, or outside the box, to use a modern term. In the end, it was his bravery that was the most important factor for his success. He could have hanged around the stock market, trying to make a living while painting on the side. But he chose not to do that, and devoted himself entirely to art, from making 30,000 francs a year to thinking that 2,000 francs a year offer from Theo was too good to be true. Certainly, as we have said, Gauguin pushed the outlandishness too far in Paris and probably hurt his market. However, his move to Tahiti ameliorated the mistake and allowed him to live peacefully for the last almost 8 years of his life. Of course, his decision to move to Marquesas was unfortunate, because he did not see when he was over 50 he should increasingly put his health as the first priority. If he had a stable family, his wife would have stopped him from moving to Marquesas, no matter how overdeveloped Tahiti was. Gauguin based his art on Cézanne. Everybody knew that. Cézanne himself even singled out Gauguin to complain about others stealing his ideas. We could take that as Cézanne's compliment to Gauguin, obviously. After going through Gauguin's life, we know that Gauguin did not simply copy Cézanne. He went further, much further. He took Cézanne's structurist approach and used his own imagination, or painting from memory, to take a substantial leap into the realm of presenting an imaginary world that did not exist in reality, a long-lost paradise. For me at least, I hear jealousy from Cézanne's complaint. How about you? It is interesting that Gauguin did not adopt too much of the Impressionist style. From that perspective, Pissarro was an outstanding teacher who led the students to their world, not his. The world is better because of him. I think that even people who are not really familiar with modern art would agree that Gauguin was a critical link in the development of it. From Gauguin, we see the opening of the wonderful world of artists of many styles, from Matisse to Picasso, putting their dreams on canvases. Look at this sculpture. It is partially glazed stoneware, not even 30 inches, or 3/4 of a meter high. Gauguin did this when he was back from Tahiti in France. You know, his bad days? Gauguin recognized the power of this piece, as he wanted to be, I quote, "to put on my tomb in Tahiti," end of quote. After Picasso saw it at the 1906 Salon d'Automne, he based one of his figures in La Demoiselle d'Avignon on it. You can go back to episode 2, season 1 to see which one. The sculpture was not exhibited again before it was acquired by Musée d'Orsay in 1987. So we see that great artist understands great artist. Cézanne showed the significance of Gauguin with his jealousy. Picasso knew Gauguin's greatness by copying it, then trying very hard to play down Gauguin's influences on him. Working in the stock market on nothing but money and living with a very determined woman, Gauguin must have felt the frustration. He used the market crash to change his life. Despite all the hardships, he lived a life of imagining paradise in his mind at all times. We have to say that he got himself a wonderful life. His style, which is known today as symbolism, has been called many names: primitivism, Cloisonnism, synthetism, Japanism, and modernism. I think that in these names is a world salute to this great artist. I'll see you next time.